Hello everyone, it's Gaggle, and we're going to be starting a new series called the Meta Monsters. It's going to be a series where we discuss the most powerful champions in each role before we do the week after patch update, so that we can kind of see what could possibly be changing in the future. So let's get into this and talk about some of these champions here. I've just made a little Google Doc with recommended runes, items, wiki link, and the pro builds link here. So first we're going to stop with top, and we're going to go to support, top down to support. So let's start with top. We're going to start with the Aatrox. Aatrox is one of the best top laners right now, due to a recent change that brought him back into the meta with with his ult, giving him increased healing now instead of the revive automatically, and now he has to actually kill someone to get the revive. So this means that he has just tons more sustain inside of team fights, and he can team fight now better than he used to, and he still has insane single target and small AoE trade patterns available to him with his Darkened Blade, decent CC with his Infernal Chains, and his dash, as well as a little bit of healing on champions. Here, recommended rune setup for him would be Conquer, Triumph, and then Tenacity or Bloodline, depending on matchup, Coup de Grace, Second Wind or Bone Plating, depending on matchup, Revitalize, and then on some items that are strong on him are Black Cleaver, Death Stance, and then he would go into either Guardian Angel or Asterix Gauge. This just gives him tons of damage with the weak zone mechanic on his Q, and gives him tons of sustain through his ult and Death Stance. So Aatrox, let's move on to the next one. Now the next one is Jax. Jax is really strong right now due to just his 2-item power spike being super efficient. His Trinity Force Spear of Sojin spike, and then after that he can opt into stuff like Sterix Gauge and other items. He has a relatively similar rune setup to Aatrox, except the difference here is that you take inspiration for Time Warp Tonic and Bistus. Time Warp Tonic is just because Jax is more likely to start Corrupting Potion, and Corrupting Potion has great synergy with Time Warp Tonic, letting you get the instant healing from the potion effect. And if we look at his kit, part of the reason that Jax is so strong is he just has a really short cooldown dash that goes down to that gets even lower due to his Spear of Sojin. He has tons of attack speed. He has an auto attack reset. He has He has his AoE, his Counter Strike, his AoE stun, which prevents him from being hit by basic auto attacks, and just his Grandmaster's Might that gives him more attack damage. So basically, he's just a split pushing, leaping machine. The real power inside of his kit recently, at least, is this Leap Strike and how that works together with having the 40% CDR, as well as from his Spear plus Triforce, and the synergy with his ult and the passive of Spear of Sojin, giving him the more attack speed. And then third for our top lane champions is Irelia. Irelia is a little bit more difficult to play than the other two, but is still an amazing duelist, a good split pusher, can be flexed mid lane as well, which you see a lot in the pro scene, but will normally be played top lane. Same thing as, she basically has this very similar setup to Jax with Conquer, Triumph, Tenacity, Coup de Grace, and then Time Warp Tonic because she takes Corrupting Potion and Biscuits. You want to go Tiamat, and then your Trinity Force, Asterix Gauge, and then your Wit's End or Guardian Angel. And if we look at some of her abilities, why she's so powerful, she just has her Q lets her dash around and get a significant amount of healing inside of the lane phase. in order to stay healthy. The Defiant Dance means that, which gives her some good damage protection against all-ins from other AD champions and a little bit of slowing. Flawless Duez a stun, and her ultimate is just a good slow damage and gives her her marks so she can Q through the targets and do tons of damage. So all in all, she is just a really good bully. She can 100 to 0 most champions pretty easily. She has good split push potential, and she is not even that bad inside of a team fight because she can just throw her ult out and then Q to a bunch of different targets to put damage out. So as you see, all three of these top laners, still even after the Conqueror nerfs, Conqueror being one of the strongest runes, and these three champions being, all three of them being abusers of the Conqueror rune. We'll see that with some other champions. So let's go head into the jungle. First up we have Hecarim, who is probably, in my opinion, the strongest jungler right now. He takes Conqueror as well, Triumph, Tenacity, Coup de Grace, and then Sorcery for Celerity, Water Walking. Celerity is just because of your E and how that synergizes with your skill usage. Water Walking so you can influence the map a little bit more. Hecarim is just a super hard scaling jungler that has good gank roots and can farm pretty well. You want to go Warrior, Trinity Force, Sterix. You see Trinity Force and Sterix on a lot of these champions, as Sterix in particular is a very powerful item right now on bruisers. So if we have a look at his kit here, he has good jungle clear through his Q spam. This Spirits of Dread gives him decent healing inside of a team fight. His Devastating Charge, everybody knows what that is, but it just gives him a huge burst of move speed and a little bit of CC. And then his ultimate is great for team fights by giving fear and slows and making him unstoppable so you can't stop his engage onto your champions and doing a little bit of damage. So Hecarim can very easily get in there, insta-gip or remove one or two champions from a fight very easily just by himself. And that's what makes him so powerful from the jungle. Also, because he moves so fast with his Devastating Charge, it is hard to survive a Hecarim gank. Even if you ward, you have to ward a lot farther than people traditionally do to be able to catch him in time to be able to get out of the way. So that's Hecarim. This one next is Kindred. Kindred is very good at dueling other junglers and is just also very powerful because of Conquer. She takes Conquer, Triumph, Alacrity, Coup de Grace, Sudden Impact, and Relentless Hunter, so she can run around the map a little more. And then you want to go Warrior, then the Phage part of Black Cleaver, pick up your Phantom Dancer, finish Cleaver, and typically we'll go Berserker Greaves on her. So, why is Kindred such a good duelist? Well, for one, her Dance of Arrows combined with her Wolf's Frenzy, she can put down the AoE field, just get some damage, and then constantly kite and jump away with the Dance of Arrows, which means she is very good at dueling other junglers, especially near walls. She can just hop back and forth over walls while still being able to auto-attack them. And her mark system, while this makes her somewhat abusable, does mean that she does have some semi-infinite scaling, some decent scaling in which she can get a lot of extra power in her kit by getting these marks. So if you're playing against her, that's kind of the way you play against her. So she's kind of just like a better Twitch jungle. She's a more reliable Twitch jungle in that she has a much better jungle clear. And her ganks are still just as potent, and she's actually better at dueling other junglers. Her E also gives her the some slows and a 3-hit to do some more damage, and then of course her ultimate, which can be used in tons of different ways to save herself from dying, to save allies from dying, to prevent enemies from force a smite on Baron early if you're jumping in for steal, on dragons, to stop dives. You just want to be really careful with this ult because this is an ult that can help your enemies as much as it can help your allies if you mess it up and put it down at the wrong time. And our last jungler is still Karthus. Karthus is absolutely insane. He is just a weird jungler in how you play him. He's a little bit harder to actually clear the jungle on. You have to have practice on him. But he is still just a power farm, press R champion. And his runes are going to help him out with that. Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter. You might think Alti Hunter is good too, but people just, typically take Ravenous Hunter as this allows him to duel other champions really well, and especially in the late game, this just gives them tons of sustain. And then Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace. Runic Echoes, Morellonomicon, Deathcap is the standard setup for Karthus. Generally, you get the Oblivion Orb and then finish the Deathcap before finishing the Morellonomicon. And why is Karthus strong? Well, Karthus is strong because of partially because of this Q here in the jungle. It just lets him spam it out, 1 second cooldown, AoE, good damage, alright ratio. It just lets him go through his jungle really quickly, and after your first clear especially, it lets you go through your jungle really quickly, clear super efficiently. It's very easy to beat up tons of gold on the enemy jungler, and then you just press R whenever your laners get people low, pick up a few kills in the early game, and then late game you're just kind of this mage that can just run in and lay damage down and then die and then Requiem and put even more damage out. So he's just an annoying pest that, due to his passive, you can't even like kill him. Like killing him isn't enough to prevent him from doing damage to you. You have to interrupt his ult if he tries to use it while he's alive, or if you jump on him and kill him, your entire team then has to disengage again in order to prevent just being killed by his lay waste and his Requiem. Alright, so that's all for the junglers. We got whereas in the top lane we had 3 scaling fighters basically. In the jungle we have a scaling team fighter, an early game marksman that is able to duel enemy junglers quite well, and a power farmer with strong backline, and also importantly he is an AP option inside of the jungle, which is valuable especially in solo queue where people like to pick AD mids and AD tops without actually thinking. So yeah, so mid we're going to have Ahri as the first champion. This is Glacial Augment Ahri. This Glacial Augment basically means that you cannot miss your charm Q combo, because they'll be slowed by the Glacial Ray. And her Q gives her all a good amount of sustain in lane versus pokier matchups. The charm with the damage amp on the charm gives very good all-in potential, and her ultimate makes her very safe and also lets her play very aggressive, basically giving her 3 flashes. So for runes, Glacial Augment, Magical Footwear, Minion DMAT, Cosmic Insider, Time Warp Tonic, Cheap Shot, and then Ravenous Hunter or Alti Hunter. If you feel like you're going to be roaming a lot more and using your ultimate, I would recommend Alti Hunter. 9 items, just the standard Glacial Augment items, Hextech GLP, Twin Shadows, Deathcap, Sork Boots. She is the best of the Glacial Augment champions, but there are other Glacial Augment champions that can be played mid lane that are alright, but just because her charm is so powerful and gives her so much damage amp, she doesn't need Electrocute to be able to assassinate you if she hits the charm, and this basically means she cannot miss the charm because you will be basically standing still for her to hit it. And then next we have Sylas. Sylas can be flexed top lane, but is predominantly best in the mid lane due to the fact that it's easier for him to kill mages with his trading patterns, and a lot of the really strong ultimates he wants to steal are from mid laners. So you want to go Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Biscuits, and Time Warp Tonic. Time Warp Tonic again because you should be starting Corrupting Potion. Standard item build is Protobelt, Ludens, and then Zhonya's because you are a melee bruiser style champion, so you're going to go in. And obviously just the Sork Boots because they are the best damage option for AP boots. So to take a look at his kit here, his passive is just lets him clear the wave really easily by being able to spam abilities. His Q is what you max now, where in the past you used to max other things. It's just damage, slow, and another damage pop afterwards. His W is what makes him so hard to trade against, as he gets a ton of healing, and if he's low, he gets even more healing, so you want to time this. If you're planning to trade with someone, you want to time this for when you're going to hit low HP, and this makes you very hard to trade against and try to all in. And then his E is just a shield and then a stun, which lets you proc your passive twice, and then obviously his ult just lets you steal whatever ult you want from the enemy team. So I would recommend picking him into teams that draft strong ultimates, but he is so strong of a champion, of a dueler, that realistically you can kind of just pick him into whatever, because most good champions now have very impactful ults, so you'll find a target for this hijack. Moving on down to the last one is Zoe. She's still the gray screen simulator. She still basically means you cannot walk through the jungle because she's gonna hit you with a bubble, and then she's gonna hit you back to your fountain. So for rune setup, Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, and then Stopwatch and Biscuits. Electrocute is basically for lane. You could take Comet or Aerie, but Electrocute is much better for trading in lane and being able to push your advantage. Items are Luden's Echo, Oblivion Orb, Death Cap, and then with the Sork Boots, obviously. And after the Death Cap, you can just pick up Utility. You can fish the Morello if you need to. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure most people know what this champion does because she's one of the most hated champions in the game. But just in case, the reason she's so powerful is because of this Paddle Star range in combination with her ultimate, which lets her blink over walls, increasing the range, meaning she can hit you from basically half a screen away. And then her E, meaning that she'll lock you down and then you'll take increased damage. Basically, it's very similar to an Ahri, whereas if Ahri hits the charm, she's going to hit the Q, she's going to kill you, except Zoe does it from 2 screens away. And then her W just letting her steal your summoner spells and everything, so you have to be careful if you all in her in lane and you flash on her and she gets your flash and can use it just to escape. That's a real feels bad. So, and sometimes she'll just be nice and just be gifted, a few redemptions level early on in the game and ignite, and all of a sudden you can't lane against her just because the game decided to give her random spells. So this is a very fun ability. I'm so glad this ability exists. I actually am. I like this. This is unique. But anyway, back to the next role is AD carry. 80 carries, the strong 80 carries right now are, we're going to start with Sivir first. Lethal Tempo, Triumph, Overheal, Triumph/Overheal, Alacrity/Bloodline. Triumph is for Alacrity, Overheal's for Bloodline. Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear Biscuits. And the reason Sivir is become so powerful recently is due to this discoverance of the double AD build, which is the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge, allowing you to get just tons of AD, and then you pick up a Phantom Dancer and then Zerker Greaves. So Sivir is the best AD right now due to the fact that she can hard shove the wave very easily with her Boomerang, her Ricochet, and she's very safe with her Spell Shield, Non the Hunt, and this Boomerang will chunk level 1, or will chunk early game, so she's not even that bad at trading with other ADs. You maybe want to be careful of hyper early game ADs like Lucian, but still she is going to outdamage even most ADs that used to typically out DPS her in the early game. So she can just shove lane, stay really safe, poke people out with her Boomerang, and then she has her on the hunt for utility for her team late game. Alright, next is Jinx. Jinx is a very powerful hyper carry right now, maybe even to a degree better than Sivir in the late game, but she does not have as good of a laning phase in a mid game as Sivir does. Very similar rune setup: Lethal Tempo, Triumph, Overheal, Alacrity, Brunline, Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear, Biscuits. And she goes Infinity Edge, Hurricane, Rapid Fire, and Berserker Greaves. Now, the reason that you, for example, don't go double AD on her, instead get the Hurricane, is due to how the Hurricane interacts with the switcheroo when it is the rocket launcher, Fishbones. Each one of the Hurricane missiles will be a rocket that can then splash onto other enemies in the area, so it's almost like you're hitting someone with two autos at once with the damage stacking up. So that's why Hurricane is so powerful on her. And she just has a lot of attack speed in her inside of this queue with her minigun form, allowing her to wave clear really easily, as well as the Fishbones giving her AoE ability. Zap is a little bit poke and some slow. Her flame chompers keep her relatively safe, as you can just throw these down and someone has to either run around them, or in very specific cases maybe they can get over them, like if they have a Morgana Black Shield. But this keeps her relatively safe. Then just a high DPS global inside of her ultimate. So Jinx is just hard, is more of a more of a damage threat than Sivir is. They do similar things, but Sivir is more about wave, or more about just being safe, whereas Jinx is more aggressive, trying to get the first kill so she can proc her Get Excited, get the move speed, get the attack speed, and just run around and keep wrecking havoc on teams and team fights. Alright, and the last AD character we talk about is Draven. Draven is a little bit different than the other two in that he is not necessarily a scaling monster, he is just a lane monster. He will destroy any lane you put him in with a support, with basically any support. Against every other AD, they don't really stand a chance against Draven due to his axe mechanic. And for his runes: Precision, Press the Attack, Triumph, Overheal, Alacrity, Bloodline, Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear, and Biscuits. Items on him are Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, because you just want tons of raw AD on him. And then a Rapid Fire, so you can get that first auto attack a little farther away, and Greaves, and Berserker Greaves, obviously, for the attack speed. Similar to Sivir, he wants just raw AD power, but as he is a little bit shorter range and not safe, he prefers to have the Bloodthirster over, say, the Essence Reaver, so he can get tons of healing and just stay able to keep running at people. Now, the main reason Draven is powerful is due to this right here, the spinning axes. The spinning axes, whenever he has one up, it gives him bonus physical damage. So level 1, he gets 35, which is really crazy, even with this plus 65% bonus AD ratio. If he has an axe up, he is going to chunk. So level 1, he is going to have... It's like he walks the lane with his normal items plus a BF sword whenever he has his axes. And that's why he's so powerful inside a lane, is just because he starts the game 1,300 gold ahead of you, and whenever she levels this up, it gets even worse for you. So he is much less safe than the other two, as he is shorter range and he can't just scale, he has to win lane, but he has the tools to do that very easily, and there is no real champions that pose a serious threat to him if you play out the lane phase correctly with him and your support plays well. And his passive just allows him to snowball even harder once he starts snowballing, because he just gets more gold on his kills. So yeah. Lastly, we have supports right now. One of the most powerful, or the best damage options, I would say. Not damage options, the best enchanter, one of the better enchanter-like options is Lux. Lux with Aftershock, Shield Bash, Bone Plate, and Revitalize, and then Domination with Cheap Shot and Relentless Hunter. You want to go Spell Thieves. And then you want to go into actual enchanter items, whereas in the past people have gone AP items. You don't have the gold for that, and it's not nearly as good. So you just want to pick up Grail, Censor, Redemption, stuff like that. Now, why is she is so powerful? She has this 2-second root early in the game. Her shield is actually quite large. Not a lot of people realize this, but when you actually build her for increased heals and shields, she will shield for quite a lot. And even without building much AP, she has very high base ratios on her ultimate and good base ratios on the rest of her abilities. And the light, having this root, lets her prop her Aftershock very easily, so it's very hard to trade back on her once she roots you and does her damage combo on you. So she is great to be able to poke out the enemy AD and can still even pressure an all-in with her 2-second root. The next is the best of the tank supports, and the best all-in support right now is Nautilus. Nautilus takes Aftershock, Shield Bash, Bone Plating, Unflinching, Inspiration, Stopwatch Biscuits. He goes Remnant, Zeke's, Knight's Vow, and then either Tabbies or Mobies to roam around the map. Okay, Nautilus. Nautilus is just great as a support whenever your AD carry is playing AD carry that actually has good amounts of damage in the early game, because he is tied for the most CC within a single kit. Him and Orin both have 4 CC abilities each, but his are better in the support position. He has his passive, which roots people. He's got his Q, which can stun people too. It roots people a little bit and then pulls him towards him. He has his shield is alright. His Riptide gives him slows. He's able to slow them down, and this actually gives him some wave clear, so he can actually help push the wave if you need to. And then the depth charge is just a point and click knock up. It also knocks up anyone that stays in front of them, so in a team fight this just causes everyone to scatter or risk all being knocked up and killed. So if you're playing any AD that's got damage, Nautilus can hold him in place long enough for you to get a kill, trust me. And being a tank support, he does have access to the Zeke's Convergence and Knight's Vow, which are both very powerful items. Enchanter items are powerful too, but these are easier to get value of in solo queue normally, whereas enchanter items you generally have to micromanage them onto multiple people and then play around them, but with these you just get immediate power out of them. So this is also a great option to have tons of engage and good team fight from the support position. So that's why Nautilus is so powerful right now. And last but not least is the newest champion, Yuumi. Alright, so Yuumi takes Summon Aerie, Mana Flow Ban, Transcendent, Scorch, and then Presence of Mind and Cut Down. She then goes, for items, she goes Spell Thieves, Athene's Ardent Censer, and Redemption. Notably, she does not take Boots and she does not take Flash. She takes 2 utility summoner spells because her W, You and Me, lets her attach to her allies and keeps her safe, basically. And because she has such low base stats, if she is left by herself, she's basically going to die. So normally you take double utility support or double utility summoner spells on her, and you don't buy boots. You just spend the money on actual items because you'll be using your allies basically as your boots whenever you're on them. A big thing to make her actually potent inside of the lane is you need to make sure you are actually using this passive here to get your mana back and to get the shield for your AD. As Yuumi, you do not just want to be sitting on your AD like most Yuumis do and being completely useless, being dead weight. You need to get off, you need to be auto-pressuring with this ability. You also need to be using your Q correctly and arcing it around this minions to hit enemies. Normally the ADC is the better option as they have less pots than the support does. and this does more damage than people would believe. So it's a lot more dangerous if you hit multiple of them than people would traditionally believe. And even if you just hit the slow, a lot of times your AD later game will be able to fall up and get the kill, or whoever you're attached to. The You and Me just keeps you very safe. She has a good heal that gives move speed, and her ult is just a AoE root. So she's a good team fighting enchanter that is very safe against assassins and engage. So she's kind of like Lux, but safer. She's a safe version of Lux, essentially. I want to thank you for tuning in to this first episode of Metal Monsters. I'll have the patch notes, the updated patch notes, the opinions the week after the patch notes up tomorrow. And I want to thank you for watching, and this Google Doc will be in the description if you want to look at the builds, look at the pro builds, look at the recommended runes, and I hope you enjoyed and have a great day.